Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel channel. I'm Philip.
I'm Jacob.
And we want to introduce you to Lester. This is our next rat rod project, and we're pretty excited about this thing. We're getting him ready for the Rat Rod Magazine build-off that's happening this summer at the, beginning of fall. So we have a lot of work to do, but we wanted to show you this thing while we still have a little bit of daylight before we drag it into the shop.
Yeah.
So come on in, we'll give you a closer look at this thing, and we'll explain to you what our plans are. So your first question might be, what is this thing? Well, it says right here on the valve cover, that's its first giveaway. This is an Isuzu diesel dualie. And yeah, it used to be a cabover.
Yeah, a cabover box truck.
It used to look a little something like that one. Same thing. Rules for this contest say that you have to stay under a budget of $5,000. Well, that shouldn't be a problem for us because our budget is, well, almost zero. And we're gonna do a lot of stuff with things that we already own. Well, we already owned this Isuzu straight truck, and we picked up the cab very, very cheap down in Lester, Iowa. So our plan is to give this thing a little bit of a shortening. We're gonna actually bring the back axle forward. This thing runs and drives. We just basically need to plug in the harness, give it a ground, and it fires right up. Runs and drives, moves. It's awesome. And so we're gonna shorten up some things. We're gonna change a couple things in the steering, like the steering box is up here. It's gonna swing back around and be back here. The batteries are gonna move inside the frame rail, things like that. The cab is actually gonna go forward. What did we say, like
another foot and a half,
something like that, right up in there. So yeah, it's just temporarily resting right there. You're wondering what the cab is. It's a 1938, 1939 Ford. We don't know the exact year, but that's the range. And yeah, don't get upset about us cutting the floor out. It was already so routed out that
there was no floor.
No, yeah, it was shot. So yeah, we just started notching, and we have the roof height where we want it. And now we're gonna move it forward. I'm gonna start bracing things up, building it the way that we want it to. And you know, we're not doing this for anybody else other than us, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just having fun.
We're just having fun with it. It's a project we've wanted to do for a long time, and we can finally make it happen. So, all right, there's the quick intro, and we'll tell you more about the project when we get it inside the shop and get things going on it. But
yeah,
good stuff. All right, let's go get the tractor and drag this thing indoors.
Sounds good.
This has been one of those projects that's been probably 2 years in the making up till now, and we haven't really filmed a whole lot about it. We haven't really shown you guys this thing. But let me go over real quickly what we plan to do, how we're going to do it, why we're doing some things and why we're not doing other things.
Yep.
And so hopefully this isn't boring to you, but one of the things that I want to make really evident, and part of the reason I'm using the kind of the fisheye lens on this section of the video, is to show you that we have other things going on inside the shop. Like we got a really nice Malibu, really nice Camaro going on, and those cars don't belong to us. There are customer cars, they're, you know, the shop owners, there's, you know, different things going on all the time. And so one of the things that we tend to do when we're doing projects like this is we make a lot of mess. We make a lot of dust. we don't want to be just caking everything in loads and loads of dust. So our solution to that is we have one of those big like party tents that you'd use at like a graduation party, something like that. We're actually going to set that party tent up over the top of this thing and drape it in plastic. And we're basically kind of making a little like paint
like
booth.
A paint booth.
Yeah, spray booth, but it's going to be our dust booth.
Yeah.
And so that way we're kind of containing our mess as we work on this thing. So we've already talked a little bit about how we're going to be sliding the back axle forward. We're going to take a section of the drive shaft out of this thing in order to do that. So that's that section of drive shaft that we're removing to this flange here. That's going to determine where our wheelbase is at. But we know it's going to be about in here where the center of that axle is going to end up. And so we've kind of done a little bit of measuring already. with that cab where we plan to have it. When you saw the cab earlier, it's literally just resting on top of the frame for now. And so that's all we had to do is lift it back off. We're gonna be doing things like moving the battery. We're gonna be shortening up brake lines. We're gonna be moving that steering box so it's rear steer instead of front steer. Because again, this thing used to be a cabover, right?
Yep.
Those really ugly looking things that you see running around downtown. And one of the things I think is really cool about these little Isuzu diesels is that they're super dependable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they get for mileage and stuff like that, but they're easy to work on. Everything's red out in the open. Cute little turbo on this thing, and we would love to be able to get a big turbo on this thing for no other reason than it just looks cool. It's a rat rod thing, and so we're gonna have that exhaust pipe coming up, like straight up in the air, right in front of the windshield, so that it looks mean, even though it's probably gonna be a gutless wonder. But it's a diesel, and it's a dualie, and we already own it, and it's fun, and why not?
And
right?
it looks cool, it sounds cool.
It looks cool, it sounds cool. Exactly.
Perfect.
So that's what we're after. Again, up here is really, really long. We're gonna shorten it up as best we can. Let me show you the Farmall tractor grill that we picked up really, really cheap as well. We love old antique stuff. And so that, we're maybe gonna have to widen it a little bit to fit around the air-to-air and the radiator. Don't know, but we're gonna try and keep it as complete as we can. All right, from here you can kind of see what we're doing. We set up our party tent that has walls, and yeah, that works really, really nice. Goes all the way to the floor. Now we can make dust, we can throw sparks, and we don't have to worry about getting these beautiful vintage pieces or engine projects or anything like that all full of dust and grime. And got a self-contained way to do it. Love it. All right, now we can cut. One of the things that makes this particular chassis so nice to work with, being an Isuzu, is the narrowness of the frame, and that allows us to use a really narrow cab like that old vintage Ford. And so let me just show you with the tape measure here. Let me pull this thing out. But part of what, oh yeah, thank you, bud. Part of what makes all this possible is our frame rails are only 34 inches apart, well, 33 and a half. And like if we were gonna try and build a Duramax or a Cummins or something like that with a rat rod, there's no way we'd be able to fit an old 1930s cab on top of that because our frame would be so stinking wide. So that's another reason that we're using this platform. Even though it's Japanese, hey, we're all about breaking rules, and if we make some people upset, well, so be it. But again, we're not doing this to try and impress anybody. We're doing it for ourselves. So this is the drive shaft that we're going to keep because it has the slip yoke here. We're going to remove this drive shaft here, and all that is going to be removed. So yeah, 43 and a half inches or so is how much our wheelbase is going to shorten up. So once you put that there, yeah, our axle will be right about there. That gives you an idea of how short our wheelbase is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so awesome. And so we're still talking about what we're going to do for a fuel tank. We're going to simplify the brake system. We're going to be removing ABS and just really cleaning up a lot of stuff that doesn't have to be here anymore. But yeah, so wanted to mention that too. That's one advantage of working with this narrow chassis is we can use a narrow cab. All right, here's where we're at right now. Jacob's been working on, this is our transmission filter, this is our fuel filter, and we're actually gonna be relocating those inside the frame because our cab is gonna be coming right in here, and our steering gearbox is gonna swing around and be pretty much right here. So we need this area of frame free of anything sticking out on the outside. And I've been working back here, making a mess, using the plasma cutter, and we now have our front section of drive shaft removed, hanger bearing, things like that are taken out, and you can see exactly how much our rear axle is now gonna slide ahead. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm gonna be cutting the heads off of all these rivets for our suspension. And once that's all free, it's literally going to slide along the frame rail, come up to here, and we're just gonna bolt this flange right up to our transmission, and then we'll cut off our excess frame in the back, slide our fuel tank forward, boom. And we have then altered our wheelbase. So yeah, having a great night. It's Tuesday, you know, spring break for Jacob, so we're able to really hit it hard after supper. And don't worry, we're getting rid of all this stupid junk too. That's silly. None of that's gonna be in the picture coming up soon. So things are slowly getting cleaned up and eliminated, which is now, nice. Before you start chiding me for using a torch near a fuel tank, just remember this thing is drained and it's diesel, so even if something did catch on fire near it, it's not gonna like blow up or anything like that. So don't worry, Mom, we're fine. We're being careful. Fire extinguisher's right over there too. The dust tent seems to be working because we're making a majestic mess in here, and it's not getting outside, which is the point. Jacob here just got done using the plasma, cutting the last of the rivets off of our brackets, and we're getting ready to lift the back of the frame up with the cherry picker and roll our suspension and axle ahead now. And so, yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, whoa.
That's surprisingly easy.
Here it comes. Nice.
Well, we can get the jack underneath and kind of like dolly it.
Yeah, we can just, yeah. All right, well, one more thing to add to our list. We got brakes that are not wanting to roll very well, so I'll probably just adjust them down or whatever, but we'll get a jack underneath it and just roll it ahead. But yeah, progress. There we go. There's our wheelbase. I love that. And so we're gonna need to do a couple more things back here, like cut these guys off because it's right exactly where we're gonna be going. So we wanna drop this thing down. We wanna look at it tonight, but we're running out of time. It's getting late and we need to go home and get some sleep because we got work in the morning. But it is so fun to see where that's gonna be for length. Thereabouts, like within an inch or so of right there. And yeah, height-wise, we'll get the back way down where it belongs. I would love to take a couple of leaves out of the front as well. So we'll see, but rake is cool. Yeah, man, that's fun. All right, so now you get to see where the cab is gonna actually sit with our wheelbase. We don't have everything finalized attachment-wise, so we may move the axle an inch or so further back, but it's close, and you get to see how everything's gonna sit and look. And obviously we're gonna cut the back of the frame off shorter. We're not using it, but yep, that's the look we wanted. Right, Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably make the cut somewhere in here. So kind of pretend that section's not on there, but I love it. And yeah, there's not gonna be a ton of knee room in there, but we're sacrificing looks for creature comfort, because that's what you do with a rat rod. It's gotta have the look. And you kind of have to use your imagination for this being moved back and the frame being cut right about there in the front as well. But so fun to see it come together.
Heck yeah, I like that a lot.
Has that intentional look to it. Obviously I still have some, you know, grinding and some welding to do to get that cross member in where I want it to be. But yeah, man, that is great to see so many things simplified and moved out of the way they should be. I don't have my shocks attached yet. Obviously we still need to do the brakes, hydraulics and things like that, but fun to start to see the vision come together on it. So the axle is officially where it's going to be. That's where the cab is going to sit. You can tell the back of the cab lines up with the shackle. The shackle's technically inside the cab, which is actually kind of awesome, I think. And we'll do something for probably mud flaps with some, you know, flap weights at the bottom. Nothing shiny a lot on this truck, but you know, we're going to do some trucker stuff back here. Some cool tail lights or something. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet that we're going to do a fifth wheel. Some of you might be wondering that. We do plan to get a round fuel tank back here. Not anything shiny, but I'd love to find an old barrel or something like that. I'm not sure. That's still in discussions, but this is a fun part of being able to get some things done. So I can cross that off the list. Heck yeah. And we got a lot of that taken out. We still need to plumb the new hydraulics, but we simplified and got the old stuff out. And we did decide on a fuel tank. I just need to get that installed soon. So yeah, I think I'm going to go after that next, but not this time. Ooh, I did back off the brakes. So it's fun to see this thing actually sitting the way that I envisioned it, and there's a lot more to do on this project. We got tons of things going on all at different times and in different places, and every time I cross something off the list, I have to add 2 more things to my list. But that's how projects go, and you know, I can't get bogged down in too many details. I have to keep that long-term vision going because September is coming quickly and I want to be ready for it. So yeah, thanks for coming along on this episode, and stay tuned for more because I'm going to keep going on this thing and just chipping away at my project often as I possibly can get out here. And I appreciate all you guys supporting the channel. Thanks for being along with me on this exciting journey. If this is the kind of content you like to see, that's awesome. You know what to do. You don't need me to beg you for it. And I will see you next Saturday. Peace and grease.